segment of Coffee with the Candidates. We are coming to you from the studios in downtown Hope, and who I have with me today is Chris Jones, candidate for governor. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, April, for having me here. I'm excited.
We are too. Well, to get us started, can you give citizens a definition of what the role of governor is?
I'd love to. Again, I'm Chris Jones, and I'm really excited to be here and have this conversation. And folks think about the role of governor and often only think about one part of it, which is the legislative agenda. But if you look at the Constitution, which is the job description, you'll find that there are other aspects that are very critical. One, the governor is responsible for crisis management. So when there's a disaster that happens, who shows up to address the disaster is the governor. The other thing that the governor is responsible for is sort of an economic promoter. The governor is the one who goes out and ensures that jobs come to Arkansas in different places. Particularly, for me, what's important is to come to places that have been forgotten.
Okay.
But then the governor is also responsible, and this is really, really key, for appointments.
Okay.
Right, so the boards and commissions that get appointed, you have to find Arkansans to serve on those boards and commissions. Those boards and commissions make decisions that impact all Arkansans across the state. So that's absolutely critical. And then finally, the governor, if you look at the role and responsibility of the governor, particularly as outlined in the Constitution, the governor is the representative symbol of the state. So the governor represents everyone, whether it's representing everyone within the U.S. as you go out or representing everyone globally. And the governor is saying, I'm an Arkansan, I listen to Arkansans, I understand Arkansans, and I represent Arkansans.
Thank you.
So, yeah, those are the rules.
Well, let's give everybody a little bit of background about you. Tell me about you.
I am a 7th generation Arkansan. Born and raised in Pine Bluff, so I grew up riding dirt bikes, eating honeysuckle, and fighting grasshoppers. We didn't have much growing up. In fact, I remember hand-me-down clothes with patches in them. But we always had a whole lot of love, and so I grew up in that environment. My grandparents had a 3rd grade education, and my grandfather drove a truck, and he would always tell me, big man, get an education, because when you get it in your head, no one can take it out. That fueled me to go on to Morehouse College after I graduated from Watson Chapel in Pine Bluff. I went to Morehouse College and studied physics and math, worked at NASA, and then went to MIT and studied nuclear engineering, technology, and policy, and got a PhD in urban planning. And now I'm married to an amazing, wonderful wife, Dr. Geraldine Jones. She's an ER doc and an Air Force veteran, and the state medical director for disaster preparedness. So she helped us lead through COVID. And we have 3 wonderful girls. That's me.
Okay. Well, which experiences do you think have prepared you for public office?
Growing up in Arkansas, what I've always loved about Arkansans is our interaction with each other. And fundamentally, I think that is one of the most important preparations, being able to engage with anyone, no matter who they are, authentically and with empathy. And I learned that growing up in Arkansas. In addition to that, again, when you think about all the roles of the governor, and one thing I didn't mention earlier was that the governor actually has to manage a staff. I've run multiple organizations before, so I know how to manage a staff.
Yeah.
I've been a recruiter at an organization before, so I know how to be a representative symbol. And in this moment, in this time, because I've worked in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math, when I think about the challenges we face from broadband to some of our health issues, it helps to have someone who's been in that space.
Okay. What or who inspired you to enter the election?
My life has been filled with wonderful people, with titles and without titles, and they've driven me and fueled me. But the seed that was planted for running was actually planted by someone who's from here.
Really?
Yeah. When I was 8 years old, my dad took me to the mall in Little Rock, and we bumped into none other than then Governor Bill Clinton.
Okay.
And I was fascinated by him, going back to what I talked about, engaging authentically. I felt like he saw me, I felt like he heard me, and I felt like I mattered. And so I asked my dad afterwards, I said, well, what does he do? And my dad said, he's a governor. So I said, what's a governor? Because I didn't know, I was 8 years old. He said, let's go look it up. And we didn't have Google cell phones, but we had Encyclopedia Britannica. So I went home and looked it up, I pulled out G, and I found out that the governor can solve problems and make a difference in people's lives. So at 8, I said, that's what I want to do. One day I want to come back and serve as governor because I had an interaction with Governor Bill Clinton.
Okay. Well, should you be elected, are there any specific issues you're most concerned about?
Our campaign has always been about faith, hope, and hard work. It was faith, hope, and hard work that got me through life and got me here. It was faith, hope, and hard work that was embedded in me. And we realized that it's going to take faith, hope, and hard work to turn the key that are our priorities. And that key really is pretty simple. It's spreading PB&J across the state.
Okay.
And you think about the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Similar. And real quick, spreading is about getting it everywhere. You know, you think about a good sandwich, a peanut butter spread everywhere, a jelly spread everywhere. And every bite you take, you get peanut butter and jelly. But for us, PB&J is preschool, broadband, and jobs.
Okay.
And the key to unlocking and unleashing Arkansas's potential is to have high quality education starting with pre-K, great infrastructure starting with broadband, and economic development starting with jobs in every community across the state. That's the goal, that's the key, that's the focus.
Thank you. How do you plan to involve citizens in your decision making?
You know, I can't hear out of my right ear.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, I've always had to work to hear and lean into listening. But the good thing is that created a value in me that listening matters more than anything else. And whatever organization I've run, and including this campaign, we always led with listening. So we did a 75 county tour already. And we listened to Arkansans all across the board. And I think the way we continue to engage Arkansans is to continue to listen and continue to lift up their voice and make space at the decision-making table for their voices. So leading with listening and making space for voices.
Thank you. Should you be elected, when it comes to grants and funding, are there any particular areas you think deserve the most attention?
There are. There's so many areas that are critical, and of course, healthcare across the state, addressing access to voting and voting rights, and I go back to our focus, and that's PB&J. We need to expand pre-K so that everyone has access to high quality pre-K, and there's investments that have to be made there. Broadband, we need to finish the job on broadband so that every home has access to high-speed internet so they can listen to this segment, so they can talk to their grandparents and deal with telehealth. Grandkids. And then finally, we need jobs. So we're really focused on economic development, particularly small businesses across the state in communities that have been forgotten.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you want voters to know before you head to the polls?
Well, I'd like for voters to know that I'm a 7th generation Arkansan and I care deeply about Arkansas. And I think the way that we lift up and unleash Arkansas's full potential is by making space for everyone to lean in and for everyone to play a role in Arkansas's future. I'm excited about the election on May 24th. I hope that everyone will go out to vote, and I hope that you'll give me a consideration. I'm Chris Jones, and I'm running for governor, and I would love your vote.
Thank you so much for being here today. And that's all we have for this segment of Coffee with the Candidates.